The shape of February, I think that it will end up looking like one of these three price paths that lead into March. And let's go ahead and make sure that we're diving in the charts to understand why those price paths are three, in my opinion, top likely ways that Bitcoin's going to move throughout the month of February, and why specifically I don't think that February will have a breakdown in this month, and that Bitcoin will either keep charging up or hang out within the point of control that we mentioned in our last several videos. Let's dive into the charts and analyze. You ready? Let's go. I'm going to go ahead and move these these price paths over, and I want you to keep your eyes on this daily 89 up here, even though I usually have it purple on my chart. Last video, I mentioned that Bitcoin has the habit, when the daily 89 is this distance away from the, so this is an origin line, that's the daily 89. When it's that far away and Bitcoin's hovering around here, it typically wants to bounce off this and go all the way up to the daily 89. And in that video, we mentioned if it doesn't get there, it will likely be because the monthly 10 EMA will act as resistance. So that's now the monthly 10 EMA. You see that? And let's zoom. Now let's add on a layer, the macro range. So zoom out, see the macro range here? This line has been getting things, you know, pretty right since back in January of last year. So this is a year-long point of control, and it's a very serious line because of the time it has essentially exposed and creating support and resistance within the price of Bitcoin well over a year now. And so the monthly 10 is a common area where Bitcoin will want to come up to before a potential continuation to the downside and bearish moves, and that could be what's happening right now. That would only be one price path. So let's actually zoom way in there. Let's go to the 30-minute chart to see how well Bitcoin has almost perfectly gotten rejected by that monthly 10. Are you seeing that? The monthly 10, and that was why in my last video I was assuming that Bitcoin will indeed hang out up here and it won't have a pullback until that happens, because the point of control plus the monthly 10 is here. And now that that has happened, what I want to do is I want to show you my three best guesses and analyze why. And the basis of this analysis is that the month of February, the monthly candle, I have a strong idea. I guess my main idea here is that the month will stay green, and that if there is a breakdown, that will not happen until the first week of March at the earliest. And what we're going to do here is we're going to dive in and make three different price paths so you can have good expectations of what Bitcoin and your altcoins are going to do in the month of February. Before we jump into there, make sure help out your content producer, hit the like button for me. It's going to help me to continue making videos for you, and it also helps if you take a quick second to leave a comment, even if it's a period without the tampon, doesn't matter. Leave me a random comment down below. In this month of February, I do have a couple of potential early winners for the month of February with your funny random comments, so I do enjoy seeing those as well if you want to leave me a random comment, and I will let you know who wins at the end of February for that that little miniature and unimportant contest. But it's kind of, I get a kick out of it. And new folks, make sure you hit subscribe and hit the bell to all alerts, selected to all alerts, because this is time sensitive information. Let's dive in and check out these price paths. Follow me on Twitter at @𝘾𝐤𝐻𝑚2, Turn on your camera and microphone and ask me questions directly and live up to 8 times a week. 8 times a week. 8 times a week. Links to the Discord community within the description section of all my videos. If you don't want to spend the time joining a community, but you still want exclusive content above and beyond what's offered on YouTube, check out the join button below this video, and that will make another video pop up describing your options to you. I will use the 4-hour chart for this. The fractal, so I have 3 different fractals here from current price. And you can see that even though one breaks down here, the red one breaks down, I don't have that breakdown point until the first week of March, based off the premise that I think on a monthly scale, so go to the monthly chart, I think this month has momentum up. See that big candle? I think it will remain green, therefore no breakdown would be in my analysis, unless obviously the charts indicate otherwise and it starts breaking down. But as of now, that is my main idea for the basis of these guesses. And what this would look like is that, so the red, let's do the more bearish one first. This would indicate that the point of control plus the monthly 10 EMA is indeed the upper resistance, and then this initiates the need for a pullback into a higher low, which would do something like this, likely a wick past this origin line. So this origin line goes back to 2012 of Bitcoin, and it is the main line of all of Bitcoin, as we cover pretty frequently. For new folks, I guess I could go to the 5-day chart, zoom out, so you can see what we're dealing with here. It's the highlighted line right here, right? Actually, I have it locked. So it got the whole run of 2016, 2017 until it took off. Got the bottom of the 2019. So that's the origin line that we're zooming in. And the black box, or the black triangle within the macro range, is based off of that origin line, which you can see right here. It forms the basis of this. It's a very, very important line, and Bitcoin has a strong chance to stay above it. But once it breaks, if it breaks below it, it can't come right back up to it. It's going to be really bad. So that would be the basis of this. But even in this case, again, I don't see a breakdown in the month of February. I think Bitcoin would, if this is the top for February, I think Bitcoin's going to bounce around between 41.4 and 44.1. 41.4 and 44.1. Just kind of switch the numbers up here. I guess I have them backwards. But that would be the rough range that I can see for February if this price path were the one that plays out. Now, would I pick that one if I had to pick? I don't know which one I'd pick, actually. I don't want to make a guess this time. This fractal right here would indicate that the daily 89 is what ends up being. So let's switch this back to the daily 89. If price were targeted towards the daily 89 as opposed to the monthly 10, and then Bitcoin wants to form a higher low much higher because it has another pump on top of it, I still wouldn't see any type of breakdown or breakage below 41.4 in the month of February, even if it were to want to form a higher low this month. That would be the second price path. And again, I think Bitcoin has a strong chance of coming up to the daily 89, hitting its head on it, and then revisiting the point of control. That actually might be my top guess if I had to guess. But then again, I don't want to like on a personal level, I don't think I want to guess what's getting ready to happen. I just want to know. I want to be aware of the most probable scenarios. Now, this price path right here would indicate similar to how so let's get off the macro range. This origin line, a lot of times the daily 89, as it's approaching it from this distance where it's not quite really close to it yet, and it's not squeezing price down, Bitcoin has had the habit over the years to not just bump its head on it, but rather get above the daily 89 and then use it as support for a second bounce on top of the aggressive move that it used to get up to it. And that could easily happen in the month of February, and then potentially in the month of March, form your higher low, somewhere closer to the origin line, maybe coming back down to 43K, which should align with the middle of the point of control. Let's see if we can put that back on, something to that effect. That would be my third price path, and you can recognize here the main ideas for the first price path is the top is the monthly 10 with the top of the point of control. For the other two price paths that I think are most likely, if I can choose three for this month as a guess, it's the daily 89 is the focus. Either Bitcoin hits its head on the daily 89 or Bitcoin gets above it, uses it as support, gives one more bounce, and then tries to begin finding a higher low in late February and early March. So that would be the basis of these guesses. If if you can't speak, then go ahead and take a sip of coffee, Tim. But then again, one of the other main ideas of this is I don't see February breaking down. I want you to keep that in mind. Even though the trend has been bearish, you need to keep that in mind. And here's one idea behind that. Not only is the monthly candle, so let's get rid of these price paths. Something to note here is that you do have essentially a daily EMA squeeze play right here, which means two EMAs push price up. And let me get rid of that guy. And let me get rid of the macro range. This red line is the daily 10. The top line is the daily 21. When they cross to the upside, a lot of times that gets a good amount of momentum. So let's zoom out. And let me actually do an EMA fill for these. Watch. And you can see that when this turns green, so it's going to be the same EMAs, right? And I'll take off the EMAs here. Oop. There we go. When it flips green, I mean, look throughout history. It typically gets a pretty good amount of momentum. There aren't many fake outs. Here was a fake out at before the drop to 29K. It did have a small fake out, but that is one of the smallest amounts of momentum that this has ever had. And we just had this cross. I mean, look, when it turns green, it usually stays green for a good bit. And sometimes when it turns green, it gets a macro move. So pretty much all macro moves are based, have within it the squeeze play where these two EMAs squeeze up. So the lows of 3,200 in 2019, you had this squeeze play, and it got the move up pretty well up to 14K. And so we just had this cross, and at minimum, I would expect something to this effect, at least this length of time. Maybe not that like ridiculous spike up, because Bitcoin doesn't quite move like that anymore. But from a length of time perspective, okay. And again, not the actual fractal how price moved, but the length of time. If I could put price back on, take off this EMA fill, I would expect that the move would last, at least, and that would bring it to late February. Essentially, solidifying the idea that the month of February is not going to break down very much, and it really could take even a little bit longer than that. Something to that effect. And again, that EMA fill is based off of the daily 10 crossing above the daily 21, and it doesn't look like it's going to get a fake out. It doesn't look like it's just going to break down. It typically doesn't just break down. It lasts at least a month, with very few exceptions in Bitcoin history. Again, the one that happened in early May was a fake out. It only lasted a few days and it broke down. And that is the basis for why I think that the month of February will turn green, because historically this has some good moves up. Click this video if you want to learn how to set up a chart like mine, 28-minute trading view tutorial. It'll be very beneficial to folks who are new to crypto. And go ahead and click this video if you want to watch my origin wave theory on why Bitcoin might not capitulate down. However, it might not get hot till September at least of this year. And I made that video a couple months ago before everything was tanking down. Click the circle in the middle if you're new to my channel, and you just got Tummified Worldwide. Peace.